So, Saturday Night Special, Ep.6. This past week, or within the last few days, ever since the Raiders veterans reported to minicamp, did you see the media coverage? Did you see the amount of media outlets talking about NFL related news? Even though every NFL team has not reported to minicamp, the amount of media coverage on that league was more than the Seattle Sounders getting coverage for their CCL championship win. It was more, the NFL got more coverage than MLS rivalry week. And here's another sport that's been getting a little more coverage than MLS. Track and field. You see that big rivalry between Noah Lyles and Arian Knighton? The reason why I bring this up before the show starts is this MLS, American soccer in general. There's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done in order for you to gain the popularity and the viewership and the respect from American people in this country. One of the reasons why it's more difficult for you, MLS, than it is for La Liga and the English Premier League, because in America, there's too many sports. Like there's multiple professional sports, which is not a bad thing because it gives athletes multiple options to choose from when it comes to sports. They don't have to limit themselves to just one sport. But the cons is you fighting your way up to get the amount of publicity that you want. Here's one thing that will help you, MLS, USL, NWSL. You need to find an ally. And it doesn't have to be an ally that works for ESPN or Fox or CBS. It can be a YouTuber that has clout, a media personality who used to work for the big media, but now he or she, they have their own platform, they have their own outlets. You need to find a big ally that's independent from you, because once they're independent from you, then they can be honest with the people in critiquing your league. Find an ally that will promote your league, the good and also the bad too. MLS, you need to find your version of Stephen A. Smith. MLS, you need to find your version of Skip Bayless. Those are examples of guys who are independent from your league, that are independent from NFL and NBA. And they give critiques, good and bad critiques of those leagues. And it encourages people to go watch those games. A lot of times, one of the reasons why a lot of people watch NBA and NFL is not really because of the love of the game. A lot of them watch it based on something that they heard Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless say. And as a result of that, they go and watch those leagues to see if those two guys are actually telling the truth. So you need somebody in media like that, MLS. Somebody who is independent from you, but whose voice resonates with people, that will motivate people to watch your games. SEC Media Day coverage. Oh man, don't let me get started on that. So what we saw this past week this was just a preview of what's getting ready to happen. Wait until next Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 26th. Every media company, every big media company, their army of journalists have returned from vacation. Not only the sports journalists, but just journalists in general. Because guess what? When the NFL and the NBA, some kind of off the field scandal takes place, like domestic abuse or some kind of shooting takes place at the nightclub, guess who they're gonna use to report these stuff? The non-sports journalists. So every major media company, their army of journalists have returned back from vacation. So you're gonna see a change in the news reporting, how news is reported starting next week and towards the end of the year. You know, if you're a subscriber, I encourage you to really just watch multiple American sports. Just don't be a one sport person. Because watching multiple sports, it will help you to learn how they operate and how you can compare and contrast that to the MLS, the USL, and the NWSL. And it also helps you to be well-rounded. So without further ado, get your favorite drink, whatever you like to smoke, sit back, relax, and let's start the show.
Purpose, it ain't only art. Hey, we just gonna have fun on this one. Yeah. MB for your soul. MB. Yes, man. Since early on I had a choice, started voicing the vision. Locked arms with the team and we formed the Avengers. Building life, breaking down all the walls of division. Couple dudes from the bottom, now off on a mission. I was raised in the church, but born in the trenches. Down the street from the projects, Florida, Evanston. But now I'm at the office making corporate decisions. Surrounded by the best of the board of directors. Yeah, from coffee houses to corporate office. Action steps back and forth with the counter offers. Sometimes I think of where I've been and I count my losses. Then I consider why I am and know that God is awesome. Yeah, I don't deserve to be here, I'm a royal mess. But I'm dealing with a God that's a loyalist. Spoiled kid, learn to keep my feet from where the oil drips. Had to come up out of my shell like some boiled eggs. Yeah, a label birthed out of conflict. From the artists for the artists that will not bend. All the artists that feel boxed in. Exceptional talents ought to be appointed on the top 10. God praise, God promise, gon' pray with me. TJTC gon' praise with me. Virtue is coming back, raised with me. Tip my hat down to JR who came with me. This is music with a purpose, it ain't only art. So music for people sleeping with a lonely heart. Yeah, wifey call me Iron Man, but she know that underneath the suit it's only Tony Stark's. You know my heart, just ain't about more cash. I thought it was a couple more dollars in the forecast. Not just for me, but for the whole team. That's why we spending so much time on these floor plans. Strong infrastructure, that's the introduction. For the team, since the mainstream has been destructive. Yeah, started from the bottom, we ain't there yet. And we ain't popping bottles in the lid yet. If we let pride and arrogance rear its head, that'll blow up in our face like an airbag. Yeah, fresh off the bench like the 6th man. We got them yelling mixed bag. Lamp mode, clear sight, humble beast, here tonight. Reach records, RMG, collision on the mission, we the army. For your soul, this is for your soul. Kingdom business, Charlie, and we on the road. Fresh off the bench like the 6th man. We got them yelling mixed bag.
Young boy, can you please turn on that television? Open the book, open your mind. They tryna tell you different. Don't do what they say, that's not how they act. They tryna sell you visions, sell you a dream. How does it look? It's time to tell them, listen. Keep the syringe, got no time to binge. No time for the revolution will be YouTube. by him, her, and you too. Let's toast to the new school, cause they can never tell you what you view. What happened, bro? You tuned in like you have to know. No Elmer Fudd on my rabbit hole. He out of sight like the shooter on a grassy knoll. I just might channel vibes if it's apropos. I just might sign up for the tap and go to buy things and not think when my cash is low. I have my wardrobe looking like a fashion show. You ain't know you were really depressed until the show told you if you feeling the stress. I got the perfect thing for you and it's really the best. Long list of side effects, we revealing it next. We interrupt this program to make you more programmed, to feed that subconscious need with things you just want, not need. I'ma turn off that screen, I'ma follow my dreams, so I can call my mom and say, hey, look, I am on television. Open the book, open your mind, they trying to tell you different. Don't do what they say, that's not how they act. They trying to sell you visions, sell you a dream, how does it look? It's time to tell them, listen. Keep the syringe, got no time to binge, no time for
make mistakes like I'm supposed to, make mistakes like they not. Make mistakes using Pro Tools. Really had no logic for the job, did the same shit. Hit the chronic for the angles from my granny pass. Hearing crackle laughter when I flame the spliff. We unpacking baggage, hope you came to strip. Talking luggage, purchase fanny packs. Was used to riding without handlebars. I found some sticky tack and finally came to grips. Tried to keep the boy from switching gears. Dreaming bigger niggas, pitching fears. Pitching heat, I'm used to kitchen heat. A Hebrew boy, if you won't take it there. A bad Negro, I grow in peace. How fast we going, I slow my pace. Mask off, these niggas know my face, know my handle. Rock the boat when I'm changing channels. Off the TV, I'm gaining traction like off the Heezy. They at your head and they came to battle. Riding dirty, ain't bring a saddle. I ain't judging, won't bang a gavel.
I don't care.
No. Did you say this?
Turning now to other news.
Major news. Breaking news tonight.
News tonight.
World news.
CBS Evening News.
On Eyewitness News at 11.
The news at 10.
News, been in news.
CBS News.
And they needed me to make news.
Or news cycle.
You are fake news.
Young boy, can you please turn off that television? Open the book, open your mind. They trying to tell you different. Don't do what they say, that's not how they act. They trying to sell you visions, sell you a dream. How does it look? It's time to tell them, listen. Keep the syringe, got no time to binge, no time for
television.
Look at me, everybody. I'm the first person in the world to be sent by television. Wow, what a wild trip that was. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Am I coming in clear? Hey, Mom, I said, am I coming in clear?
So there's one thing to be progressive, and then there's another thing to be ultra progressive. Now let me give you the aqua definition of progressive and ultra progressive. Now being progressive is one who seeks changes where change is needed, like certain laws, certain cultural norms that was once acceptable and now is no longer acceptable. That's when being progressive, that's progressive. Now, ultra progressive is when you allow your emotions to make change by any means necessary. It's like when you try to make change and the change doesn't happen as soon as you want it to happen, then you try to force it. You get angry, and then you just get emotional, and now you're no longer dictated by your brain. You're no longer dictated by logic. You're dictated by your emotions. So that would be progressive and ultra progressive is. The NWSL is in no room to threaten cities that they will not have a franchise if they don't support a certain law, if they don't support a certain ideology. Jessica Bierman, your league is still young. And to be honest, a lot of people don't even know who you are. There's even some people in your city that never even heard of NWSL. I don't hear a lot of people rushing to Twitch to watch an NWSL game. I don't hear about a lot of people rushing to Paramount Plus or CBS Sports Network to watch an NWSL game. NWSL, you're in the same situation as the MLS and the USL. American soccer in general is still a young sport. In terms of popularity, it's still young. And to be honest, whether it's men, whether it's women, a lot of Americans really don't care about American soccer. They're more interested in European soccer. They're more interested in Mexican soccer. But when it comes to American soccer, American traditional football, a lot of Americans don't really pay much attention to it. Therefore, Jessica Bierman, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage rather than an advantage by threatening cities who don't support your ideology that you will not start a team in their city. You, NWSL, and Jessica Bierman, think y'all flexing your muscles of some sorts by putting out such threat. But in reality, you're only hurting yourself. Because Jessica Bierman, your league is not on the same level as the NBA. You can't do what the NBA did in 2017 in regards to North Carolina's bathroom bill, and they decided not to host the All-Star game in Charlotte. NWSL, you have not reached that level. The potential is there, but you're not there yet. And the people that you will hurt the most, Jessica Bierman, is little girls in the South. Now, why do I say little girls in the South? Well, Jessica Bierman, when it comes to, women's reproductive rights, we know the states that are heavily resistant to such. It's largely states in the South. So you are going to punish little girls in Atlanta, Nashville, New Orleans, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Charlotte, Knoxville, Raleigh, Durham. You're going to punish little girls in the South who love the game of soccer. And I would love to see an NWSL team in their city. But because their favorite league wants to play politics and punish certain cities for not supporting their ideological views, therefore, that little girl in Charlotte, that little girl in Atlanta, that little girl in New Orleans will not be able to cheer for an NWSL team of her own. As a result of that, NWSL, you're going to lose that vulnerable little girl to another league. WNBA, gymnastics, track and field. A potential superstar athlete in the Southeast that you can have, Jessica Bierman, in your league someday. You're going to miss out on that just because you want to play politics and you think you're flexing your political muscles. You think that you're on the same level as the NBA and you have some sort of clout. Jessica Bierman, the NWSL is not on that level yet. The NWSL is not popular. The NWSL can't flex its muscles like that. What you should be doing, Jessica Bierman, is trying to expand to as much cities as possible. You see, Jessica Bierman, because when you expand to as much cities as possible, then many people become familiar with your face. There's a reason why the MLS and the USL is expanding to as much cities as possible. Because more Americans need to notice them. More Americans need to recognize them. More Americans need to know who they are. And then once Americans know who they are, Americans will become more familiar with them. You see, Jessica Bierman, you got to learn how to shake hands with the devil. If you act out of anger and decide not to choose to expand to certain cities because they don't share the same beliefs as you, you become an exclusive institution. And that is against the core values of American soccer. American soccer is supposed to be open to everybody, regardless of religion, regardless of race, regardless of political views, regardless of ideologies. And what you're doing, Jessica Bierman, what you're practicing, Jessica Bierman, is the total opposite. You're practicing exclusion out of emotion and out of anger. Jessica Bierman, you got to learn how to shake hands with the devil. Now, what I mean by that, shaking hands with the devil does not mean you're best friends with the devil. Shaking hands with the devil doesn't mean that y'all hang out and y'all get along and y'all have the same views. Shaking hands with the devil means that you're doing business with him or her in order to get what you want out of that business relationship. So this is why you have to expand to as many cities as possible. Because when you do that, more people will become familiar with you. And once more people become familiar with you, then they will learn more about your ideologies. Then they'll learn more about your views. Then they'll learn more about who you are. And as a result of that, they will start to support you. But if nobody knows who you are, Jessica Bierman, how are you going to be able to get the change that you want? When you expand to these different cities, Jessica Bierman, you will come across people who share the same views as you. There's people in Atlanta, Jessica Bierman, that shares the same views as you. There's people in Charlotte. There's people in Knoxville. There's people in Nashville. There's people in Birmingham. There's people in Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville that shares the same views as you and that supports you. But guess what, Jessica Bierman? They're not as strong as you. This is why they need somebody like you to expand to their city in order for them to work with you, in order for you to be able to get the change that you want. So Jessica Bierman, don't turn into an exclusive institution. As a matter of fact, Jessica Bierman, you should be targeting every major city in states that does not have the same views as you, that is against women's reproductive rights. You should be targeting every city, every major city in that state, in those states. So you should be targeting every major city in the Southeast, every major city in the Midwest. Those should be your major targets. Because when you expand to those cities, Jessica Bierman, there's an army of people waiting to support you to get work started. And it's going to be those people, Jessica Bierman, to help you get the change that you want to see.
Sparking a spliff tripping, subliminal visions, eyes slit, slipping, drifting away from sober living, liquid dripping from the empty 40 bottle, hollow dots driven, distorted illusions, images are vivid. Paint a picture with your dreams, God-given. I preach peace, prosper from the dirt, living inside of a world consumed by lost visions. Well, God, listen to the words that I'm trying to speak. An empty voice for the past you captured on a beat. Depict a masterpiece. Immaculate gods walk divine through the shadows, seeking knowledge from the inner battles we defeat. Feasting with kings so caution. Cosmic optics develop, vexes, deceive and process. Third I watch and warp the source of objects. Sweat pouring from the core, walk with lords of knowledge, polishing the pores of conflict, constantly continuing across with content. Deeper than the reaper, seeking lethal nonsense. Evilist mindset, belief in my conscience. It's slowly leaking when the reef is speaking. Igniting my mind through higher teachings. Pray to conquer demons. Split the seas like a Moses, gripping a spliff with ease. Twist Feasted like Molly in Jamaica, waking up in peace. Walk a divine pace, posted with the OE. Providing hope for the live souls to vibe with me. Divine physics, I'm lifted from below the knees. Mental spirit is clear, steer for the lonely peeps who holding me close to their soul. Hope that they notice me. Nonchalantly, I'm kamikaze with coasting beats. Saliva 6-bit, syphilis, sativa, leaving eyes drip dipped inside the mind of a believer. From the belly of the beast, puffing blood stuff with ether. Fuck the world is when I'm screaming, deceiving the non-believers. Equivalent to splitting atoms, destructive and stuffing dynamite inside your pipe. Sayonara, God. Overdose of psychosis, giving God a high five. Praising God, they peace and armies to a rebel side. Metallic palace, Alice trapped inside a plastic mind, passing by. The impatient packed with passion like you're in practical practice and try to capture vibes non-existent to living. I'm driven through the afterlife.
So what? I'm just supposed to sit and spit about how fly I am. Tell you that I'm on my second sky, that's how high I am. Fuck that. Fly shit ain't never made a nigga change. It's just like Red Bull. It ain't never gave a nigga wings. Never made a nigga dreams come true. You never made a nigga brighter, swearing that you shine just like the sun do. So I'ma have to undo. Give it to him different, you better bring in infantry. This nigga Mick is militant, the villain that you feeling it, and I ain't popping yet. Well, I got tricks all up my sleeve, I'm like Inspector Gadget. It's tragic, you can see it in these niggas' face. Can you believe these niggas fake? It's like they rap for beauty pageants. I'm past that, joint so I can ash that. I'm trying to get my stock up, no NASDAQ. Niggas need insurance now, but where they about to crash at? Each day I'm more progressive, out here cracking about this water like it's Aflac. Need a hazmat suit, he's been it too sick. Coming after your meals like a toothpick, I'm bucking ruthless. In here trying to tell the people what my truth is. I ain't saying you lying, I'm just asking where your proof is. Escape my soul, traveling this unknown road. Why can't I just find peace and love where nothing even matters anymore?
Now, to be honest, I wasn't going to pay much attention to the Euro friendlies that took place this week. But after I saw that Miami score, and after I saw the highlight that's now viral of the Barcelona player, Memphis Depay, that kind of move that he put on that Miami defender, that's when the Euro friendlies got my attention. Number one, when I talked about offense in Mono 79, that's the kind of offense I want to see more of in the MLS. And it took Memphis Depay out of Barcelona to show us what real offense looks like in soccer. That's the kind of offense I want to see more of in the MLS. Now, as for Inter Miami CF, I can't be too harsh on that performance because a lot of those guys are not MLS starters. They're guys from MLS Pro and MLS Pro Next. It's a mixture of those guys. However, you had a guy like Gonzalo Higuain who started the match, and he couldn't even score a goal within the time he was in. Isn't Gonzalo Higuain supposed to be a star? Isn't he supposed to be the East Coast version of Garrett Bale? See, as a Miami football organization, you have a guy, an experienced guy like Gonzalo Higuain who has experience playing in the European leagues. For him not to be able to score a goal in that match, that should tell you where he is as a player moving forward in your organization. The fact that Gonzalo Higuain could not score one goal in that match, him being the most experienced European guy, and he couldn't score at least one goal in that match, moving forward, Miami, that should tell you where he is as a player. And that's all I got to say about that. Now, a lot of people were using this Miami match to say that MLS is not on the same level as the Big 5 Euros. Well, look, we already know that. And people never said that the MLS was on the same level as the Big 5 Euros. I never even said that they were on the same level as the Big 5 Euros. I mainly said that the MLS has the potential of reaching to the level of the Big 5 Euros. And I said they eventually will reach their level between the years 2040 and the year 2050. But I never said that the MLS is on the same level as the Big 5 Euros right now. I've always said that the Big 5 Euros is the creme de la creme of soccer. They're the mecca. Europe is the mecca of global soccer. That's what I always said. So, you European fanboys that use these meaningless friendlies where MLS starters didn't even play the home match, friendly that holds no merit. Nobody gets any reward. It's just nothing. It's just for fan amusement. Really, these friendlies are for you American European fanboys. The MLS is just making money off of you. That's basically what these friendlies are for. It's for the MLS to make money off of your emotion and your excitement and your fandom for these European teams. That's what all this is for. So you telling people on social media that the MLS will never be on the same level of the Big 5 Euros, number one, you're short-sighted. You saying that the Big 5 Euros is better than the MLS right now, well, yes, everybody knows that. That's not news. Well, what I do want to see once we get into the 2040s and the 2050s, I do want to see more meaningful competition between MLS and European teams. Besides the FIFA Club World Cup, I don't want the FIFA Club World Cup to be the only time where a serious tournament takes place between MLS and European teams, because right now it looks like the FIFA Club World Cup is the only serious, real competition where an MLS team will be able to face a European team. The reason why I keep on bringing up between the years 2040 and 2050, because that's when the MLS will be near that level. The market value will be really high and the talent will be really high. See, MLS Next Pro is just getting started. MLS Next is just getting started. You know, you still got a lot of young franchises in Charlotte, Orlando, Nashville, St. Louis is coming next year. We don't know if Las Vegas is going to come. We don't know how soon Las Vegas is going to be here. NYCFC, they're still developing. New England, they've been in it for a while, but now they're finally going to get a stadium within this decade. You know, so the league is still developing. So by the year 2040, that's when the MLS should be solid. The year 2040, that's when the MLS will be solid. Special shout out to Charlotte. Special shout out to Minnesota United. And even a special shout out to you, Orlando. Because even though you lost, at least you scored a goal. And you only lost by 2 goals. It wasn't a blowout. You didn't allow 6 goals. You weren't massacred. So, special shout out to those 3 clubs. So as a result of these friendlies, my attention now turns to the Seattle Sounders. Sounders, you have a FIFA Club World Cup coming up. And even though you're at the bottom, you're not at the bottom, but you're below the playoff line in the West, and you're dealing with injuries. No, my word to you is that you have bigger fish to fry. You still see the people's perception of American soccer. And I'm talking about Americans, not really Europeans. I'm just talking about Americans. Americans clowning and degrading teams in their home nation. So you see what you're up against for this FIFA Club World Cup, Seattle is going to be you against the world. Use this Club World Cup for mental preparation. Sounders, if I'm you, for the rest of this season, listen, I know you got a playoff streak. You have never missed a playoff since your existence in 2009. And I know you've been a top 5 seed in the West for multiple years. But maybe, Sounders, it's time for you to put that aside and to say, you know what? We have a bigger competition ahead. And that's FIFA Club World Cup. A competition that is 10 times more prestigious than a supporter shield. It's more prestigious than the MLS Cup. And it's more prestigious than a CONCACAF Champions League title. Why? Because this is a global competition. And you're going against, there's a possibility that you could face a European team in Real Madrid or a South American team in this competition. Those two nations are viewed as the real traditional football nations. America is not viewed as such. You win that, Seattle Sounders, this will be huge not only for your organization, but it'll be huge for the MLS. And most importantly, it will let the world know that American soccer has arrived. So Sounders, don't rush your injured players back. Let them get the rest and the medical treatment that they need, because you have a bigger objective ahead.
Better move, da-da-da-da. Better move, da-da-da. Better move, da-da-da-da. I like rolling in the, rolling in the, rolling in the. I like rolling in the. Okay, put me on wax till cars they all shine. Put me on crack if that's what y'all buy. Rookies and vets get caught like intersections, caught like internet when buzz is online. Said I rhyme like Dear John on John Deere. Soon as I cut, you low on the grass, I'm not here. Oh yeah, the bag got IKEA. It's oh yeah, the class is top tier. I should be flying at first when I'm rhyming the verse. Rhythms, they be lying in dirt and trying to murder anything I flow on, and when I throw my show on, give them hits to grow on. The club is in my hand, it's looking like a part 4, and the joint slamming, the flow is in the car door. Bitch, you better cram in until it make your arms sore. And when I'm in the house, it's like you living in the cardboard. You sitting in, but I stand out. You worry about fitting in the damn crowd. I live life, let it all sink in and sham wow. Get some pot, I bet everything will pan out. I like rolling in the, rolling in the, I like rolling in the.
Yo, the homies smoking on, hey, hey. In the middle of the barn, sipping on a Miller in the middle of my lawn. Feeling like a million chillin', living in the dawn of a new day. What you say? Coolie too high, yeah, we on the way. Ain't no delay, no wait, we on time. Name another sucker who be touching my rhymes. Ride, sis, boom, bomb, we rap buckets. High, just realize you can't touch us. Buckets, when we in the 3-point range. Release like Larry Bird, simple and plain. Nothing showy, just a gritty cat, boom, bap. Inspired by the soul of them old school cats. We rap circles round so-called hip-hop heads. Kinda like a halo, I guess they all dead. We don't wanna hear that whackness you practice. We blacklist cats as we wrap around the atlas. Cash from the act, we just stack it in the mattress and keep it off the books so them crooks don't tax us. Still saying that we about to blow like saxes. Hey, hey.
I like rolling in the,
yeah,
rolling in the.
Oh, that's what we on. That's
I
what
like
we on.
rolling in the.
Tab, what up? Charlie, what up? Look, what you be with them? Annoyed or astonished? Is you Brady now? I'm McCoy back in college. Used to download bed share up in my cottage with a cool chick, ass looking like it hold a hostage. Me and Cooley high like DC and phone posits. When you young and wise, do that turn to old knowledge? Money come and go, it's Greatest talent, what I buy with? Sidecar on a plane, pretty when the sky lit. I'm chillin', beast mode, hoodie, jeans, and fly knits. We rockin', they eyes glued to us like wide hips. I drip all over the stage, they amazed. I'm like, why trip? Feeling like I'm on the front page, they on my shit. They was just on yours for days, that's how lies get. Caught up in a web or a maze, that's where I fit. Really how I am, not a phase. And I just finished rolling up some haze. I'm like, hey, rolling in the, rolling in the, I like rolling in the, rolling in the.
I tried to leave, but I can't go. Her favorite band is War Paint, but her favorite song is by Sango. Now she's here with me, sitting Indian style. Finally made that move. We sat and talked for a while about everything's changing. From music to our exes in Austin and Texas at South by. Watch a Chance the Rapper with a hipster girl. James Blake with a hipster girl. Samba.
So this evening, NYCFC is playing Inter Miami CF. At this time, they're probably most likely in the second half, if the game is not over yet. And this is supposedly, most likely, Taty Castellanos' last match with NYCFC. And it's most likely safe to assume that this is his last time ever playing in the MLS. For as numerous reports stated, and he himself stated before, the ultimate goal is for him to return back to his home country. So after he gets through finishing playing in La Liga, he's most likely going back to Argentina. When it comes to this NYCFC icon, I want to talk about perception versus reality. Because one of the reasons why he stated he wants to go play in Europe is because the Argentina head coach of the national FIFA team told him that he has to get experience in Europe. They're saying that all of his achievements, all of his success, his leadership in the MLS, how he developed and grew into a really valuable, good player, none of that stuff mattered because he played in the MLS. Him being a Golden Boot winner, him giving NYCFC momentum to have a chance to win a championship by being the only person to score a goal in that 2021 MLS Cup championship match within regulation. Him coming to the States, a foreign country that he didn't grow up in, that he's not familiar with, and him evolving and maturing into a valuable, good soccer player, a valuable, good global football player that he is. None of that matters. The fact that multiple European leagues were chasing after him, multiple European clubs was pursuing him. None of that mattered, according to the Argentina coach, because he played in the MLS. And because of that, he now has to go to another country and play for another league just to start all over to prove himself yet again. Brothers and sisters, I just want to explain to you about the danger of perception. You see, it's not guaranteed that Castellanos will put up the same numbers in La Liga similar to how he did in the MLS. Is that because La Liga is a tougher league? I don't believe so, because as I continue to tell you my belief about these 5 European leagues, in each of these leagues there's usually three to 5 teams that's good and everybody else is below average. So it's not because of that. It's just things happen. Coaching staff is different. Culture is different. The field, different. It's just different locations, just things are different. And the way life is unpredictable, you just never know what may happen. So all of the hard work that he put in the MLS, the Argentina coach is saying that's not good enough. So that's why he has to go play for one of the big 5 Euros. Future MLS stars, future MLS players, don't allow short-sighted perception to dictate your reality. See, the case of Taty Castellanos forcing his way to Europe is an example of somebody who's allowing perception to dictate his reality. Because the perception is that he's not good enough because he hasn't played in one of the big 5 Euros yet. But reality says he is good enough, because even though he hasn't played in the big 5 Euros, he has played in the highest level of football for a stable nation. It's not like he's playing at a high level for a third world country. He's playing at the highest level of football for a developed nation. And that right there should give enough merit. But because of perception, because perception says you haven't played in the big 5 Euros yet, so now he has to go to another country, start all over, because everything he done in the MLS, according to the Argentina coach, it doesn't matter. He has to go to another country and play for one of the big 5 Euros, start all over to prove his worth. This is not a difficult task. The culture in Europe is different. The style of play in La Liga is different. So that's why I say to you, MLS players, do not allow perception to dictate your reality. Now, how is NYCFC going to move forward from here? One of the things you got to be thankful for, NYCFC, is that he's leaving at the time where gridiron football season is about to begin. So because gridiron football season is about to begin, the New York media, next week, the New York media will be heavily focused on Giants, Jets, Patriots, Eagles, Buffalo Bills, all those NFL teams in that region. The New York media is going to be busy starting next week. So as a result of that, you might see a little paragraph on the New York newspaper saying like other news reports, and it's just going to be a little paragraph saying Valentin Castellanos left NYCFC to go play in La Liga. It's just going to be a paragraph. So it's not going to be too many media attention for that. So MLS, you won't receive another embarrassment, basically what I'm saying. And Taty Castellanos, you're choosing to leave the MLS at the right time. Why? Because this is the decade where Americans are just starting to familiarize themselves with traditional football. This is the decade where Americans are actually acknowledging that soccer does exist in this country and we do have real legitimate professional leagues in this country. As a result of that, anybody who's not an NYCFC loyalist, and they're basically fans who've been following the team since 2015 or ever since they won the championship. But moving forward, guys who are not NYCFC loyalists, they're not really going to remember you. So you're choosing the right time to leave. If traditional football was a real popular sport in this country, oh man, fans will not be happy. Fans will not be happy. And this is another reason why I continue to preach. MLS, Abu Dhabi, you have to protect your stars. Moving forward, you have to do a better job. Now, you did a better job in this situation, Abu Dhabi. You really raised the price. And if anybody wanted to get Castellanos, they had to pay that heavy price. So you did a good job this time around. Moving forward, we have to find more offensive guys. This is the offensive era. We don't care about defense. So when one guy, as in Taty Castellanos, leaves, or we just have a couple of other guys that we can look forward to, who can score just as much as he can. So moving forward, the game needs to move towards the offensive side. The team still has Towels, Mango, and City Football Group. They have the amount of resources to continue to recruit good players. But the game in general should move more into offense. So when a guy like Castellanos leave, it'll be like nothing. Just next man up. I'm not sure, besides Magno, who will be that next man up. But future MLS players, guys in MLS Next Pro and MLS Next, and do not allow perception to dictate your reality. You believe in the body of work you put in, and your skill and your body of work, no matter what league you play in, your skill speaks for itself.
Zion. And pussy on Poseidon, swimming, Mayan, flying. Why these rappers lying? I confide in juice, who nuts, he spitting webs, I'm rhyming. Tripping, rolling zips while bumping, zipping. With these steps, I'm climbing. I ain't tired, I go harder. Just need water, just need father figures. Tommy missiles down his niggas, packing pistols to protect, not the threat, just each other. We are from the same mother. It go deeper when I'm calling you my brother. Same vein, same dirty ass chains, same scars from the whips, same fresh ass rain. Shout out to Kendrick, got me feeling like a vanity slave. Shout out to Memphis for its pimping, girl, you made me this way. Imagine hippie, gold grilling, still bringing the change. Man, these niggas can't hang.
Mom said I might burn in here, as I burn one in my car. I love burning as they swear, as I slowly burn into a star. I'm so done, need working, need grow, right from concrete. Mom said I might burn in here, as I burn one in my car. I love burning as they swear, as I slowly burn into a star. I'm so done, need working, need grow, right from concrete.
All I ever wanted in life was good vibrations. The music waters the soul, is giving me good hydration. Spots up on the stairway to heaven are vacant. They should build an elevator since we don't have the patience. I guess I get too caught up in my aspirations, stuck between reality and fabrication. I never let a man tell me my limitations. God real, he been showing me them demonstrations. But I've been so ungrateful, and I've been holding grudges. I'm sorry, I can't unhate you. You made your decision, played your position. I betrayed your traditions. I paid no attention to all this stress load. Why your devil and your preacher abide by the same dress code? Lost everything I had but my soul. I'm still blessed though, and I can't complain. Although I must admit I ain't the same. Voices in my head want me dead, this shit I can't contain. Step up out of Hell's Kitchen if you cannot take the flame.
Mom said I might burn in here, as I burn one in my car. I love burning as they swear, as I slowly burn into a star. I'm so done, need working, need grow, right from concrete. Mom said I might burn in here, as I burn one in my car. I love burning
We got the US Open Cup coming up next week. And it's Sacramento versus Kansas City and New York Red Bulls versus Orlando. And I'm not going to say who I believe is going to win, but I'm going to state who I want to see in the championship. And I want to see Red Bulls Sacramento. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see Kansas City. I've seen enough of Kansas City in the MLS this season. Now I know they get a different type of spirit when they're in the US Open Cup. I believe this is the spirit of Patrick Mahomes, that championship spirit. This is one thing I do respect about Kansas City. Kansas City has realized, they're like saying, look, we know we're not going to win the Supporter Shield this year. And we know we're not going to make it to the MLS Cup playoffs, which means we're not going to win the MLS Cup. But what we can do is win a US Open Cup. So we can have something to present to the owner. And so when we have our exit interviews with the ownership group, we can say, look, it was a tough season, but even though we had a lot of injuries, we were still able to win something. We were able to become the national champion. So that's a good storyline for Kansas City. But for Sacramento, this is bigger. See, for Sacramento, this is not only about winning a national championship. You're out to show the MLS that they're making a big mistake by focusing on Vegas rather than focusing on them. This is to show those two billionaire owners that pulled out, and Ron Burkle and Meg Whitman, that they made a big mistake. Now I'm gonna talk more about this next week. Then the New York Red Bulls. You got some catching up to do. Because not only did NYCFC win a MLS Cup before you, they also become more valuable than you. And you've been around longer than them. So New York Red Bulls, it's a lot on the line. You're in danger of becoming ignored. The only thing that is saving you right now is NYCFC not having their own stadium. If NYCFC had their own stadium by now, New York Red Bulls, you'll be dead. You'll be dead to New Yorkers. And that's something you can't afford, because soccer is not a popular sport in this country, and it's definitely not popular in New York. So you can't afford to be the forgotten club of New York City. Orlando, following the same steps of Atlanta. And, if Orlando win this, the Southeast, the future of the Southeast looks good. The future of the MLS in the Southeast looks good, especially when Nashville returns next season. Atlanta, Nashville, Orlando, Charlotte. The future's looking good in the Southeast. But the main thing I want to talk about in this particular monologue is, what if the US Open Cup is a preview of a potential MLS-USL championship merger? What if the MLS and the USL are testing things out? They're using this to see if the two leagues can become compatible. Because look, the MLS wants to continue to expand, but the problem is they keep on the cities that they want to expand to. There's already USL cities there. There's a USL team in Vegas, USL team in Phoenix, San Diego, Sacramento, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Tampa. There's getting ready to be one in New Orleans. There might be one in Baltimore someday. So it just looks and seems like it'll be better if the two leagues merge. Not the entire USL, just the championship division of the USL. And for many years, there were many USL clubs that operated as MLS developmental clubs. And to this day, there still are. The Atlanta United 2s, the Las Vegas Light, the New York Red Bulls 2s, the Loudoun, the LA Galaxy 2. So what if the US Open Cup is showing us that the USL Championship League is not too far behind from the MLS as much as we think? That the only thing that's separating the MLS and the USL Championship League is money. MLS is heavily invested by billionaires, while USL is more so millionaires and thousandaires, if that's a word, and community leaders. And as a result of MLS-USL Championship merger, the new league can become the American Premier League. And the teams that will replace the USL Championship League in future US Open Cup competition could be college teams, Big Ten soccer teams, ACC soccer teams. Now, I know when it comes to American college sports, the two dominant sports is gridiron football and basketball, but the Big Ten is the premier college league for Olympic sports. And the ACC is right behind them when it comes to Olympic sports. They're not too far behind. What the problem with the ACC is, you can't really trust them because they're at the mercy of their godfather, which is gridiron football. So the ACC may not even exist 10 years from now. However, there can be select schools along the East Coast, like your Virginias, Boston College, those schools that have solid soccer programs. You can allow them to be part of the US Open Cup competition. And maybe even some Pac-12 schools too. You know, the Stanfords, the Cal Berkeleys. It's just a thought. But when I see Sacramento in the US Open Cup semifinals, this is what the USL Championship League needs. And if you're the USL Championship League, every year, from here on out, every year you want a team to be in the semifinals or the finals. Every year. Because USL Championship League, and I'm going to talk more about this next week, it's your job to let Americans know that there's not only one league in this country. That the MLS is not the only league in this country. But there's also another league. And our way of doing business is different from the MLS's way. But you also got to keep this in mind, USL. That when people see USL championship teams and MLS teams going against each other, the gap is not too wide. The gap is not too far behind. Louisville went toe-to-toe with Nashville. Union Omaha, League One. They beat Chicago. They beat Minnesota. So the gap between USL Championship is not far. It's not wide between USL Championship and USL League One. And the gap between MLS and USL Championship League, that gap is not wide either. So when people see these teams go against each other, people are thinking, why not merge? Why not merge? And the way business is being done, and the way there's so much conglomeration that's going on in the world, USLU might be facing these type of conversations and potential decisions someday. So just keep that in mind.